Need link building or content? Go to fatjoe.com. On-demand marketing services for agencies and teams. Fat Joe.
Okay, so can you please raise your hands if any of you recognize any of these things in the screen? Great. That means that you are millennials and that you're trying to advertise to people that you just don't understand, Gen Z. But before I start telling you everything about them, let me introduce myself. My name is Azahara Corrales, and I'm Senior Paid Media Manager at Education Cube. Education Cube is an agency specialized in higher education, and we work day-to-day with the student and young audiences, and that's the reason why I'm here today to tell you everything about it. And just in case that you are wondering, that is the best football team in the world. So, who is Generation Z? I want you to do a little exercise in here. Even close your eyes if you feel like it, and I want you to think in someone famous that impersonates for you Gen Z. Okay. Everybody has someone? Great. I'm sure that many of you have thinking her, Greta Thunberg. When we think in Gen Z, we think in someone that is very responsible, that they care about things like climate change and social issues. But she's not the only one that is Gen Z. He is also Gen Z. Mbappe, so for those of you who don't know him, football player, more famous for the money he makes than for the trophies he wins. But yeah, he's also Gen Z. And this kid that became famous, Jodeline, in a shopping center in the United States, yeah, he's also Gen Z. Oh, we can't hear it.
All I do is I
So Generation Z goes all the way from 1997 to 2012, or what is the same, someone that is 25 years old nowadays to someone that is 10 years old nowadays, they are both Gen Z. So as you can see, there is a huge different range of ages in this. One of the reasons why we had this generic concept about Gen Z is because we've seen so many news about who Generation Z is, what they like, who they are, etc. The only thing that it does is just confuse us even more. So what I have done is just have done a little research for you, some of the news that we can find online about Gen Z. So Gen Z no friending on Facebook. How will the social media respond? Interesting. Or Tinder struggles to attract younger users as Gen Z singles look to new apps. I really hope they're not talking about the 10-year-olds in here. And my favorite, and something that I actually will come back to it in 10 years from now, which is let's debate whether or not these Gen Z trends will be cringe a decade from today. So as you can see, lots of information that you can find about who they are. But probably at this point you are wondering, why do I care? Like, why do I actually want to understand them, right? Well, the reason why is because they spend quite a lot of money. So this data is only for university students, and only in the UK they spend £11 billion. In the United States, 303 billion, and Australia, 19.5 billion. So it's a big piece of the cake. So now that I have your attention, and you probably now care and you want to know everything about them, I'm going to tell you, I have created 3 different student personas based in data, so that way you get to know a little bit better Generation Z and the different age ranges. So we're going to start with Chloe. She's 21 years old, and she's from London. She is in her 3rd year of university at University of Surrey, and the reason why she chose this university in the first place is because it was quite close home. So she can come back, it's only an hour journey on the train, so she can always come back home to see her parents and spend time with her friends. This is actually a trend that we have seen since COVID, where students prefer to go to university somewhere near home. And not because they are scared that maybe another COVID may come, but because for more like economic reasons. So according to a UCAS survey, 23% of students rather to go somewhere near home. She lives in a student accommodation with another 40 students, and she has a part-time job at Superdrug. And one of the things that she really likes to do is listening to music, and some of the artists that you will find in her Spotify account are Doja Cat, Drake, and Harry Styles, of course, because who doesn't love Harry Styles? Ooh. I'm going back. There you go. Hello? There you go. Just like 75% of Gen Z that choose listening to music as the favorite activity to do in their spare time. Her favorite TV series is The Kardashians. Here is where she knows everything about Kylie Jenner and her makeup brand, because Chloe really likes makeup. So she watched some makeup tutorials in YouTube. She even created her own content as well. The problem is that Chloe can't really afford the products of Kylie Jenner. So what she does is she asks her parents and friends to get it for her for Christmas and like special occasions. But what really, really, really likes to do is spend time on her mobile phone, just like the rest of Gen Z. They spend an average of 6.3 hours per day on their mobile phone. I'm going to say it again, 6.3 hours per day. So she probably spends more time in her phone than she does in her part-time job as Supertruck. And some of these social media accounts that she follows, well, Chiara Ferragni, the Italian influencer, she's been following her for years, and yeah, she loved her. So what's the favorite social media platforms for Gen Z? So maybe here is one of the first misconceptions that we may have about them, which is we always think in Gen Z and we think in TikTok. Well, actually, their favorite platform is YouTube. And as you can see here, TikTok is a little bit way down in the bottom, with 59% of them that choose them as their favorite social platform. And which values they like the most? Again, we always think they're very responsible, they hold companies accountable about what they do. But actually, it's honesty, the value that they like the most. But what is honesty? Well, honesty can be this.
This is a serious film about sustainability. Could we make this a bit more serious? More serious than that? Let's lose the bright colours, maybe get some graphs? That's better. We need to be serious, because these next 10 years are our last chance to tackle climate change. We've got a serious plan to become good all round, and make sure we're doing our bit for people and the planet. We're going to put a cap on our emissions and be carbon neutral by 2030, at the latest. We're going to make sure no bottles go to waste. We'll reprogram that one. We're also going to work closely with farmers to reduce inequality and protect nature. To get there, over the next 3 years, we will cut our carbon emissions by 20%, remove 2,500 tonnes of plastic, and make sure all of our ingredients are 100% sustainably sourced. Not that sort of sauce. We might not be serious about most things, but we are serious about the planet. A peach. Seriously?
All right, after watching this video, I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to come back to the office thinking, oh my God, I need to change everything about my company. We need to be super honest, and we need to tell everyone what we're doing about the planet and things like that. Because honesty can also be this. So remember Chiara Ferragni, the influencer that I showed you before that Chloe really loves? Well, if you actually see her Instagram, probably any of us can relate to her. She has a life that we can't afford. But actually, Generation Z really relates to her because she's so honest about how she portrays her life in the good and the bad things that it really goes a long way with Gen Z. So what I'm trying to say here is, as long as you are honest and you tell people who you are, what you're doing, and if you want to improve something, just say it. That will go a long way with Gen Z. And this takes us to our second student persona, Taylor. He's 17 years old and he's still in high school, but he just decided that he's going to go to university to study computer science. And computer science is actually one of the subject preference for Gen Z, together with subjects alike to medicine, another trend that we have seen since COVID, business and management, social sciences, and engineering and technology, where computer science live. And he lives with his parents. He doesn't have any job. And he completely depends economically of their parents, just like 74% of Generation Z. Again, I want you to stop here and actually look at this data. 74% of Generation Z depend economically of their parents or a guardian. So when you're trying to advertise them and you're trying to sell them something, you need to take into consideration that the money is probably not coming from them. And some of his favorite series are The Boys, Mandalorian, and The Umbrella Academy. Yes, I know it's not a great series, but Taylor loved it, okay? Just like 74% of Gen Z who choose watching TV series and films as the favorite activity to do in their spare times. So remember, listening to music, number one, and watching TV series and films, second. Some of the artists that you will find in his Spotify account are Age and Juice WRLD. But what Taylor really likes to do is playing video games. So here are some of his favorite video games. FIFA 22. Remember this guy from the beginning of the presentation, Mbappe? Well, he's actually the cover of FIFA 22 and FIFA 23. So I think that gives you a little bit of a clue. Fortnite and Call of Duty. And the average time that Gen Z spend playing video games is 3 hours per day. So if someone spends between 9 and 10 hours at school, for example, spending 3 hours per day playing video games is a really long time. And the reason why Gen Z likes playing video games, well, actually, is because they can speak with their friends at the same time. 37% of Gen Z choose playing a game online while they talk with their real friends at the same time. Not random people that they met in the internet, but they are their actual friends. So they prefer to socialize while they are playing than actually going outside and socialize. And some of the social media platforms that he follows, well, it changed a little bit here compared with Chloe. So Twitch and TikTok, just like 22% of Gen Z that choose this type of platform so they can see other people gaming online. And the social media accounts that he follows, well, his football team, Manchester City and Fantasy Premier League, so he can be updated. Just like 27% of Gen Z that follow some sort of sports, peoples, and teams, social media accounts. And Sidemen and PewDiePie, just like 26% of Gen Z that follow some sort of gaming experts in social media. And this is a unicorn. It's here because I love unicorns and because I promised my Instagram followers that I will put a unicorn in this presentation. I may not be Gen Z, but I'm still quite cool, so that's the reason why it's here. And the unicorn is taking us to our third and last student persona, Ingrid. But before I start telling you everything about Ingrid, I'm going to tell you a little the story. So when I first started creating this presentation, it was quite easy for me to create the 21 and the 17 years old persona because I still have a lot of things in common with them. So if you actually look at the graphic that I showed you at the beginning, people around 1997 have a lot of things in common with millennials, while people from 2010 have a lot of things in common with the next generation, Generation Alpha. So creating this 12 years old persona for me, I was struggling. And I invite you from here to try to understand what a 12 years old likes nowadays. So I was back in Spain, meeting a friend, and she brought along her daughter, Ingrid. And I was like, great, this is my chance. I'm going to ask her as many questions as I can. She looked at me a little bit weird when I started asking her, like, all right, what do you do in your spare time? And why do you listen to your Spotify? But Ingrid's story is a little bit personal. So thanks to telling you Ingrid's story, you're going to understand everybody else's story. So Ingrid, together with two classmates, they are the only ones in her class that don't have a mobile phone. That actually goes with the data. 98% of Generation Z owns a smart device. She also told me that she was struggling quite a lot in class to make friends because everybody have a mobile phone, so everybody has WhatsApp, and everybody was creating groups to celebrate birthday parties and things like that, and obviously she was left out of that. 56% of Gen Z use WhatsApp as the way to communicate with each other. She also told me that everyone in her class has an Instagram and a TikTok account, even if they're not allowed to have one, because the minimum age to have one of these ones is 13 years old. And she also told me something that surprised me quite a lot, that it was their parents didn't know about it. Her favorite artists are Bad Bunny and Bizarrap, and I know what you're thinking. Yeah, she's Spanish, so she loves Latino music, but actually, Latino music is the favorite music for Gen Z, with more than 10% of them that choose it. And even if she doesn't have a mobile phone or a social media account, she still steals her mom's phone, and her favorite content is just like funny videos and dance videos. Just like 58% of Gen Zs that choose this type of content as their favorite content. And this is just a video of Ingrid and her mom dancing.
De te faire l'amour, ton corps est aussi beau que l'arbre, que l'aurore.
I also asked Ingrid if she was concerned or interested about any social issues or climate change. And what she said to me was, I am, but it's only me, and there is nothing that I can do on my own. And that's actually something that you can see in the news and in the data. So Jen said, 9 in 10 young Brits are still opt for cheap clothing. But what I want to highlight here is that 63% say they were concerned about social implications, and 48% were concerned about environmental implications. Just like Ingrid said, they think they care about it, but they think they are on their own, and there's nothing that they can do about that. So they just follow the same patterns as other generations has been doing. And this is actually something that is getting worse for the next generation, Generation Alpha. So you know Shein, the Chinese brand that they mass produce fashion and like things for the house, and it's not very environmental friendly. Well, only 2% of Gen Z choose Shein as the favorite brand. But with Gen Alpha, it goes all the way up to 11%, making it one of the top 3 favorite brands for them. So as you can see, it's just getting worse for the next generation. So I'm going to bring all this together, telling you another story, because I love stories. So when I was 16 years old and I first came to the UK, I came to Newport in Wales. And I got the bus to come back home, and it was around 11:30, midnight, so it was quite late. And I came down the wrong stop, so I found myself suddenly lost. And I panicked. The only thing that I had was my phone, and the only thing that I could do with my phone was to call. So I had this brilliant idea, remember I was 16 years old, of calling my parents back in Spain. My parents were panicking, shall we call the Spanish police? They can contact the British police. So everything was very dramatic. I found my way back. I'm here, I'm fine, I'm alive. But what I'm trying to tell you with this story is that if I was 16 years old nowadays and I got lost in Newport, Wales, it will be as easier as putting my phone out, just Google Maps, and just find my way back. I'll probably even tell my Instagram followers about it. I actually told this story to a Gen Z the other day, and he told me, I will never go to Google Maps, I will go to Snap Maps. So I think that tells you a lot about the changes in generation. So the reason why I tell you this story is because I want you to forget all the data that I gave you. That's important. But what is important to remember is the fact that Generation Z is the first generation that are completely digital natives. That means that from the moment that they came to this world to nowadays, they have been surrounded by internet and technology. And how does this translate? It translates like this. Is social media the new Google? So we are actually seeing a change in behavior. People are ditching Google, I'm really sorry, SEO experts, and they are going to social media now. So they are using the social media to do their online research products. And it's something that we can see actually in our data too. So 50% of Gen Z use social networks to do their online product research, and 26% use video sites. And inside these social networks, which ones are their favorite ones? Well, here, Instagram is the king for now. 69% of them choose Instagram to search information about their products, and 46% choose TikTok. So just to end, what I want you to remember about this talk, if there is anything that you want to remember about this talk, is the fact that Generation Z is not a generic concept, that there is different ages inside. You can find someone that is 25 years old, and you can find someone that is 10 years old, and your approach should be different. I also want you to remember that you may find people in social media that they're not supposed to be there. So take that into consideration when you are creating your content. And just to end, if you want to find Gen Z, you need to go where they are, which is social media. So just to finish, could you please raise your hands if any of you recognize any of these things in the screen? Great, then my job is done. Thank you very much.
Need link building or content? Go to fatjoe.com. On-demand marketing services for agencies and teams. Fat Joe.